Happy freaking Wednesday, everybody. Excuse me. Happy Wednesday. And it's Wednesday. It's 8 p.m. Mountain Standard Time. If you're in the East Coast, it's 10 p.m. If you're in Texas, it's 9 p.m. Yeah, there we go. And shout out to all my friends over in the Pacific time zone. It's 6 p.m. Excuse me. 7 p.m. As you can tell, it's been a day, guys. It's been a day. And quite honestly, I can tell you that it's been a day. It started off at midnight Wednesday today. Thought I'd get ahead of it. I was like, you know what? I'm going to get ahead of it. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to schedule my live stream. I'm going to schedule it so that I don't have to worry about it. And how about that? How about we just get rid of the background altogether? There we go. And in my days of being tired, I scheduled the live stream for 8 a.m. on a weekday.
Certified badass.
Not really, because anyways. So shout out to those of you staunch supporters who came in at 8 a.m. on a weekday. Instead of working your day jobs, you're like, no, today I'm going to watch Rollshambo live 8 a.m. on a Wednesday. Shout out to you guys. And apologies that I wasn't there because I didn't realize I had dropped a video and I was like, you know what? It's fine. It's fine. I'll just, you know what? Yeah, no, it wasn't fine. But thank you guys. With that being said, my awkward start to the day aside, we've got people rolling in the chat and we're going to start it off with shout out to Tori Casey becoming a connoisseur and collector.
Oh, yeah.
Wait, that wasn't the right one.
Certified badass.
Keep the change.
There we go. Tori, thank you so much for joining the connoisseurs and collectors. Everyone, welcome Tori in, or rather welcome him back, because I'm pretty positive he's been here before. Shout out to Fibbit. You know that your name is hard to say, right? Shout out to you, my friend. Thank you for joining. We've got Oreo Dave in the house. Channel mod, channel member, one of the longest time supporters. What's up, Dave? We got James Alden as well, another channel member. My man Jim Miller in the house, another channel member. Oops, lost my camera there for a second. We got Greg Vanderlip as well. Eugene Krabs, Top Dog, channel member, channel moderator.
Certified badass.
100%. Let's see who else. Drink Water, another channel member in the house. Welcome in. Craig Vincent, another channel member. Paper Tiger. Oh man, you guys had a chat before I actually started looking at this. Thank you for waiting for me. Oh man. Jim Miller says it was 9 a.m. here. I've been working for 2 hours. Kevin C. Dude, yeah. Sorry, Jim. I was also working, but yeah, you know what? I was just had a little bit of a fat finger incident, so I wasn't there. But thank you for trying to join in anyways. Welcome into Fred Gutt. Welcome in. He says, hello all. New to this group. You're new. Fred, welcome in, brother. Here we talk about knives, EDC stuff. We hang out on a Wednesday. It's the crew. I think I'm going to have to start bringing beer to these meetings. I'm pretty sure it shows right now that 24 people are watching. So I guess that means that what I really need to do is bring cookies, because I think I promised it in the title of the video. What did you carry today, guys? What was in your pocket? Today, I carried the Midgards Messer Little Berserker. And this is the smaller version of this guy. A knife so large, it almost doesn't fit in the screen. I reviewed this earlier this year, and a lot of feedback was, cool knife, too big to carry. And you know what? I carried it. It's a hell of a lot of titanium, and I carried it because I like big knives. But I didn't necessarily disagree with the people that said that they wanted something a little smaller, a little more regular EDC size. And so this has recently released. Shout out to my friend Mike over at Midgards Messer USA, doing the most to make sure that people on this channel get a chance to experience the latest and greatest from Midgards Messer. This is actually his design. Rodney Michael Sims designed the Midgards Messer Berserker and the Little Berserker. This one, honestly, I think that this one might be better than the original. And some people, it's not going to be their cup of tea, but this one is such a good carry. It feels perfect in the hand. It doesn't weigh 15 ounces. It weighs 6. It's still on the heavier side. It's a lot of titanium. But yeah, no, this guy is great. And check out that inlay work. That inlay work is perfect. It's a titanium knurled diamond inlay, and it's fantastic if you like trailing point Persian style blades. Aside from that, I also carried this guy. This is the Nightcore MT2A Pro. There we go. Very simple, light, easy deep carry clip, tail cap actuated, and man, this is a powerful light. It's got the new U-High 20 LED in it. And so even though it's still 1,000 lumens, this one actually performs just as good as, it has just as many more candelas than a lot of lights that are way more expensive. And I like it. I like it a lot. But yeah, that's what was in my pocket. Simple carry today, of course, my wallet. Other than that, what did you carry? What was your carry today on the Wednesday? On the wacky Wednesday, where Rollshambo faked everybody out with an early live stream that never happened. What was in your pocket? Hey, shout out to Loot 10 Techs in the house. Congrats on getting your Clydesdales out, man. That's fantastic. I know there's a lot of really happy people out there who just got their Clydesdales finally on pre-order, and super stoked for everyone that got one. Fantastic knife. We got Mr. Prosthetic joining in as well. He says, dude, I carried your old little Beowulf and my mini bodega. Now that's one hell of a carry. That's one hell of a carry. The little Beowulf, let me tell you something. It broke my heart to sell any of my Midgards Messer's knives. But they weren't getting the carry time that they deserved. They weren't getting their time in the sun. And here's the thing. It might be okay for some people to let those knives sit in their display case and look pretty. Not me. When I get to a point where I have so many knives that knives are not getting carried for 2, 3, 4 months, it's time. I'm trying to keep my collection on the smaller side. And that might mean that I pick up a knife and then 3 months later decide to sell it, not because it's a bad knife, but because maybe it's just not making its way into my rotation as much as I'd hoped it would. And the little Beowulf is fantastic. Fantastic carry. Nice. Welcome into Bangkok, Mark. We got B Devious, Ed B in the house, another channel member. All right. Wario Dave says, cheers to Mike for giving the only Midgards Messer discount code to Rollshambo.
Certified badass.
Keep the change, you filthy
Absolutely. Animal. By the way, guys, and you know what? Let's go ahead and do this. I'm going to switch over to the screen share. They actually have, boom, here we go. Midgards Messer USA. Now, Mike did tell me, he's like, please make sure you tell people that this code does not work on the German Midgards Messer site. They don't do discount codes. They don't. And for a while, I actually thought that mine was the only channel that had one. Turns out Everyday Blades also has one, but I never see it. And apparently, they just never, people never use his code. However, if you use Rollshambo, that's my name, Rollshambo, in your cart, you will get 10% off, and that's good through the end of the year. That's good through December 31st, 10% off. Now, because good knives aren't cheap and cheap knives aren't, well, actually there are some cheap knives that are pretty good, but because good knives aren't cheap, 10% off is actually pretty hefty when you start looking at some of these. So for example, they've got the Utgard Tactical. Look at this thing. That's fantastic. When I opened the box for this, I actually thought that it might have an Utgard Tactical in it. $350. It's a ton of titanium, guys. So with 10% off, you could take $35 off. That's pretty significant. They've got 44 of those left. If you get a little berserker like this guy right here, they've got 48 of those left. Those are $330. Normally you can get it for $300 with the 10% off discount code. That's hefty. That's like, you know, buying yourself lunch at a nice restaurant. You know, get a burger, a couple beers with the boys, kick back and say, thanks, Rollshambo, because now I have a knife and a burger and beers with the boys. What's not to love? So yeah, I don't know if I can get him to extend the discount code, but it's good through December 31st. What did everyone else carry? Hey, we got Scott Brew 72 in the house, another channel member. Scott, thanks for being a channel member, man. He says carried the Cold Steel 4MAX Scout and the Hawk Mantis Gearhead. Nice. That's a pretty solid carry. Nothing is going to stop you. Bangkok Mark carried the Kubi Veloce, designed by my friend Sharif Manganas. Shout out to Sharif. Kubi Veloce is great. Let's see. Ed B carried two Corvids, the Mini and the S. Man, that's pretty solid. I love the Corvids. The Corvid lineup is fantastic. One of my favorite unboxing knives of all time is this guy, the Concept Mini Corvid. And you don't sacrifice anything to carry this, by the way. You know what I love about this knife is, and it's the same reason why I love the Devo Nip. You don't sacrifice anything to carry these knives because they fit in your fifth pocket or your coin pocket, whatever you want to call it. And so you can leave your regular pocket free for a full-size knife or even a large knife. And then you can carry multiple knives for multiple scenarios or just because you like carrying multiple knives. I was talking to my wife today and she said, just what you need, another knife that will sit in your pocket and look pretty. It was a hell of a burn. I was like, oh, my heart. Let me just make it feel better by getting another knife. Oh, man. No. But seriously. Oreo Dave carried the Kaiser D'October at dinner. Nice, man. That's a solid carry. Let's see what else. James Alton carried the PM2 and the Case Blue Jig Barlow. Nice. Craig Vincent coming in hot with the Cold Steel 8010, the American Lawman, the XL Voyager Spear Point, the Grick, the Benchmade Presidio 2, the Petrified Fish Havrog, and the Civivi Vision FG. Craig always has an armory wherever he goes. If you need a knife, I don't know if he'll lend you one, but he's got plenty. He's got them all. Tori Casey coming in hot with the blue Jetstream today from Tempest Knives. That's from my buddy Casey at Knives Fast. Nice carry, man. I reviewed that knife. I loved it. I felt like it honestly, it's great. It kind of felt similar to this one. This has been a knife that I've been absolutely adoring. This is the Kubi Titius, and yes, it is pronounced Titius. I looked it up. Google told me. I wanted to call it the Titus because, well, it sounds more kosher. But Titius it is. Anyways, the Titius actually feels very similar to the Jetstream. Love them both. fantastic knives. Let's see, we got Bangkok Mark says Thailand in the house. Man, we got people in Thailand. What time is it in Thailand? Someone with Google, let me know. How late are people up watching this, or how early in the morning is it for you? I might need to know. Man, we got Bangkok Mark as a new connoisseur and collector of everything sharp and shiny. Welcome in, Bangkok Mark. Thank you so much for joining as a channel member. Guys, welcome Mark to the table. Glad to have you, man. Thank you. Craig Vincent says, in my fifth pocket, I carry a Rat 1. It's a pretty big pocket. Do cargo pants have fifth pockets? Asking for a friend. It's me. I'm the friend. I need cargo pants. I want to carry more. Hey, welcome into Chef Rocky. Welcome in, brother. Good to see you. Tori Casey says, anyone have their paws on the Lush? Well, I mean, not yet. It's supposed to release tomorrow. And let's see. Where can you find it? You can find it at traditionalpocketknives.com. It's right there on their homepage. So that releases tomorrow. And they've got some cool color combos. And it looks like they might even, I don't know why, but maybe they're also going to release another one of the traditional TPK, the TPK nip from Devo. But it looks like they're going to have 3 colors. I think Traditional Pocket Knives is the only one that's doing the drop on this. But Devo Knives, they're going to have it in the 80s camo carbon fiber, which I think actually looks pretty sweet. Pictures do not do this justice. Trust me when I tell you this. The pictures do not do it justice. It will never do fat carbon justice. But they're going to also have it in the Lava Flow and with the Arctic Storm. Good looking knife. Absolutely good looking knife. The one thing is that it is going to have a wire clip. Come on, Kev. I was in the chat with him and he's like, you know, like we're trying to make it as affordable as possible, so wire clip it is. Listen, it's not you might as well charge an extra $25 and just throw in the same clip that you put on the nip. That's all I want. Same clip. I mean, most people, I guess, are not going to care if it's a wire clip. I don't like wire clips. I don't. Like, we're pinching pennies, but are we really saving if we have to, you know, then later go to Lynch Northwest or Rips Garage Tech and get a wire clip replacement? Just saying. B. Devious says, Rollo, the Lush or After Hours Jack Wolf? I'm going for the Lush. You know, I actually had this little mini battle in my brain because I saw that they're both releasing at the same, like very nearly the same time. I think the Jack Wolf releases the next day on the 15th. I'll say this. They're both going to be front flippers that have a elongated nail nick type fuller that you can flick. They're both going to have fat carbon fiber. The difference is about $150. And I think that here's what I imagine happening. I think that the Jack Wolf fanatics are going to buy out the very first versions of the After Hours, which was heavily asked for. When the Gunslinger dropped, everybody wanted one, but they didn't like the blade shape. Some people like the blade shape. Phenomenal knife, by the way. I borrowed one from Knife Dope, and I really liked it. I did. I thought it was great. The action was superb. But they're $350. That's not cheap, and we don't know who Jack Wolf's OEM is. They're keeping that information pretty close to the chest. I get it. You don't want everyone storming it, but also there's a little bit of like, it's $350, but what if we find out it was made by Kubi? I'm not like, that would piss me off. Like, it better be Riot or some new OEM that's just so good that we cannot, oh my goodness, Bluminati Ninja with the 10 gifted memberships.
certified badass.
Damn. Thanks, man. Welcome into 10 more connoisseurs and collectors of all things sharp and shiny. Thank you, man. Thank you. Bluminati, so generous. Appreciate you supporting the channel, brother. Ian Coates in the house. Ian, what's good? Channel moderator, the legendary Ian Coates. He's everywhere. I just saw him in Neve's live stream. Good to see you, man. Welcome in. Welcome in to, and for many people, welcome back to the connoisseurs and collectors. Guys, give him a shout out. Welcome into Mind of Milton. He's like, blue sheesh. Yeah, man. Blue. It's the holiday season, and he's definitely bringing the holiday cheer. Thank you, man. That's fantastic. B Devious says, I couldn't decide, but I'll be trying to get the lava flow version. About the Lush. All right, back on track. Sorry, my brain just exploded. Lush versus Jack Wolf knives after hours. If I'm being completely honest, I think aesthetically speaking, I think that the Jack Wolf knife is slightly better looking. Now, that is 100% a matter of opinion. And I say slightly, like very slightly. But is it $150 better? I doubt it. I haven't handled either, so I can't really say. But looking at these, knowing what Devo is capable of, like, the nip is so freaking good. Knowing what Devo is capable of on their action, knowing it's headed by Colin Mason Pierre and Kevin Johnson, aka Lefty EDC. I know Lefty's not putting out garbage. I know. So do I believe that the Jack Wolf knives after hours is $150 better? Not a chance. Not a chance. Like, and that's kind of the hard part. Like, I would say that, you know what, if they were both readily available and I was looking at buying one or the other, I'd probably say that I might spend $50 more on the Jack Wolf knife for the collectability. Other than that, I don't even necessarily think that it's a choice. I don't know how you can beat this for $200. That is a phenomenal price. But if Lefty asks, I said that he needs a real pocket clip. But yeah, no, the Lush is definitely the way that I would go. In the 80s, camo carbon fiber or the lava flow. Or I mean, they're all good choices. Titanium S90V, fat carbon fiber. You'll get that on the after hours. You'll get that on the Devo Lush. It just depends. How much do you want to spend? Hey, welcome into Vapin' Grandpa. Thanks for joining in. Welcome into Mark Cook. Ian Coates says, how do I get a roll cap? Well, you see, this, man, so I've been thinking about getting merch. It's time that I start doing some channel merch because people have asked. And I was thinking, you know, I could do shirts, but, you know, maybe people would buy them, maybe they wouldn't. Most of the time, people ask about this hat. This hat was actually a gift from my friend Oreo Dave. And he had the EDC roundtable make it for me specifically. So Oreo Dave, thank you, man. I've worn this hat a lot. I've worn it enough where I've had to wash it. I probably need to wash it again soon. Wash your hats. They get nasty when you wear them all the time. Totally worth it. Super easy. You can put them in the dishwasher. Did you know that? Your hat gets dirty, throw it in the dishwasher. Your wife doesn't like it, throw it in the dishwasher by itself. But you can clean your hat that way. Okay. B Devious says the finger choil on the Lush plus being S90V beats the M390 Jack Wolf. Is it M390 on the after hours? I thought that was actually S90V. Let's find out. Let's find out. No, it's S90V on that's what it says on their website. S90V on the Jack Wolf After Hours. So that's kind of a draw, but that's what I'm saying is that for a draw, you're spending $150 more on the After Hours. Is one technically a sheep's foot and the other one is technically a Warncliffe? Sure, but they're close enough for government work. Sorry, I had to pop my ears for a second. That happens when you're, in Colorado and you're a mile up. Tori Casey says, I don't mind a wire clip, however, the Lush will be getting a lynch. That's what I'm saying, man. Like, where is my... We had it on the nip. I was like, finally, we got Kev away from those paperclip freaking wire clips. And then he turns around and it's back to a wire clip. Man. Ian Coates says the After Hours is a slip joint you can flick. It's not a slip joint. This is actually a bolster lock, and it's designed after the Midnight Jack. So it's the same overall profile as the Midnight Jack, not to be confused with the Feel Good Jack. But you see, the Midnight Jack had these coffin handles as well, and then this big old Warncliffe style blade. But the Midnight Jack was a slip joint. The After Hours Jack is a bolster lock. So you see how it has the frame lock coming in here, but it's also covered by the carbon fiber overlay. Yeah, so it's basically a frame lock with the exact same profile that you get in the Midnight Jack. And so that's cool. It's basically the same thing they did with the Gunslinger, where it wasn't really a slip joint. And so it's going to give you a strong lockup. With a slip joint, you don't get one, obviously. But it is fully flickable and from the fuller and also front flipper. The action on the Gunslinger is phenomenal. Probably the best front flipper action that I felt all year long was when I borrowed Knife Dope's Gunslinger. That was, it was very impressive. Hey, shout out to Josh Branson joining in as well. Channel member, good to see you, Josh. And Dwayne Letterman, another channel member. Hey, welcome into Jay Korskin as well. Good to see you, brother. Loot 10 says, thanks so much, Josh. I really appreciate that. See, there I go. Just butting into conversations. Like, hi. Can I sit at your lunch table? Oh, man. Mark Cook says, next is the Berserker Mini. The little Berserker, man. It's like, honestly, this one is so good. They're also not necessarily telling us who the OEM is on this, but I was told it's not Concept, it's not Fox Knives. Stay tuned. I'm going to dig for it. I'm going to see if I can find out. Love the little Berserker, though. All right, welcome into Double D10, another channel member.
Oh, yeah.
Double D, thanks for being a channel member, man. Thanks for supporting. Oreo Dave says, phone update. Sorry if I Batman it out of here. Dude, sometimes you just got to do the Irish goodbye. And I've actually decided that I really like the Irish goodbye. It's when you're at a party and you're ready to leave and you don't say anything and you just leave. You ever get stuck at those parties or like an awkward business dinner and you're trying to leave, but everyone has to come up and say goodbye? It's like, stop it. I will see you at work tomorrow. It's only really goodbye if they fire you. Don't get fired. Josh Branson says, good luck if you ever need scales for a Jack Wolf. I have a Cyborg Jack now that I'm about to part out because I can't get scales for it. Oh no. Yeah. Because they don't release who the OEM is, I guess it's kind of tough to get replacements. or aftermarket. I don't think I've seen any aftermarket. You might have to go like super custom and go to a custom modder and say, hey, would you be willing to make custom scales for this? You never know. They might do it. You got to find the right custom modder. Welcome into Josh 33025 says, I need more money. Me too. I think we all could. I feel like we're entering a silent recession where we're in a recession, but people just aren't talking about it. They're like, it was the last recession was 2008. My house is still worth what I bought it for 3 years ago. I promise. Housing market anywhere where people want to live right now. What a joke. And I'm holding out. Like, do I save up to buy a house? Or do I just wait and see what happens? Because what would suck more is buying a house and then the next year the housing market crashes and you just lost out on like 300 grand. Seriously. There's condos not too far from me that are like 2 bed, 2 bath going for 350 grand. Imagine what's going to happen to them if there's another housing market crash. Hey, shout out to Mark Cook, another channel member.
Certified badass.
Keep the change, you filthy animal.
Hey, thank you for supporting Mark. Thanks for becoming a connoisseur and collector. Fellas, welcome Mark to the table. Mr. Prosthetic says, this party sucks. I'm out of here. And leave. No. Because that's not an Irish goodbye because you said something. An Irish goodbye is you just leave. You gotta be very careful where you do that though. Some people might take it the wrong way, but at least, at Irish house parties, you're good. Josh says that the scales and bolsters for the Jack Wolves are ground together and that's why they don't sell scales. Each set is custom ground to that knife. That's interesting. That's really, really interesting. So, technically, that makes it almost a mid-tech. If each set is specific. So you're telling me, let me get this straight. You're telling me that if I go and I buy 2 after hours jacks, which I'm not going to do, that's $700. But let's say I bought 2 after hours jacks and I tried to swap the scales between them, that they wouldn't work? How? How does that? Or maybe it would fit, but just not well. How does that even work? I feel like I'm missing something. Hey, what's up, Nico Diaz? Welcome in, brother. Craig Vincent says, oh, Irish goodbye. That's what my ex-wife did. I'm sorry, man. I'm sorry. That's rough. Ian Coates says, I even Irish goodbye out of lives. Nobody notices, so it's successful. I thought that's what you did to me because for a while there, you missed 3 or 4 live streams. And I was like, Ian just gave me the Irish goodbye. I'm just kidding. Ian's always in the background somewhere, supporting the community, somehow doing the most. He runs in all circles, but I still like giving him a hard time. Oreo Dave says, I Batmaned it out of the office party last night. Nice. Dude, work events, they're fun because, the company pays for the food. Maybe the company pays for the booze. And honestly, if they're taking up your free time and you're a legal adult, they should pay for your booze. But then you get to a point where you're like, I got other things that I want to do, guys. Thanks for the free food and booze. Bye. Paul Yuri says, Lush over. Just wondering. The Lush is not over. It is actually going to be dropping in 14 hours, 25 minutes, and 40 seconds. But here's the deal. I have a feeling a lot of people are comparing the After Hours Jack to the Devo Lush and are coming to the same conclusion I am. And that is, why spend another $150 when Devo makes a fantastic knife and it's less expensive. We've already spent our money on Christmas presents. You know, if you're Bluminati Ninja, you've already, you know, sent 20 new gifted memberships to Rollshambo. You got bills to pay. So what do? Do you spend the extra $1.50 to get the after hours, or do you go with a solid bet, knowing that this is likely just as good, potentially better? We don't know. None of us have held these knives yet. And go with the Devo knives. I have a feeling that a lot of people are going to get in on this. So if it was me, guys, I would go ahead, bookmark traditionalpocketknives.com. If you're considering one or the other, just get the Devo Lush. I mean, that would be my suggestion, because I have a feeling these are all going to sell out like that. Ian says, I spent the last few weeks getting used to a new job. My arms are sore for moving furnaces and hot water tanks all day. Damn, that's right. That's right. And congrats again on the new job. Because I know that for a minute there you were looking, and I'm glad to hear that you got it. You got another one. Hey, shout out to 12 Days of Cheeto. Welcome in, man. Good to see you. Tori Casey says, a lot of times in lives I'm busy, wife works late, and a lot I'm off, so gets busy with 3 kids. I get it, man. I have one child, and it is another thing that keeps me busy. It keeps me happy, you know, keeps my heart full. And you know, I'm super happy to be a father. But there is only 24 hours in a day, and sometimes we have to prioritize and pick and choose. That's why you can always watch these lives on replay. By the way, let's do this. Speaking of lives, I'm going to start a poll on the community tab. And it's going to be a text poll, and it's going to be, what day would you like to see I guess I should do weekend day. What weekend day would you like to see a second weekly, wow, I can't spell, weekly live stream? There we go. Are we talking Saturday? Are we talking Sunday? And this one for the people that don't watch the live streams, just so they feel included. Boom. There it is, guys. Go to my community page on my channel and let me know, what weekend day would you like to see a secondary live stream? I want to do more lives. You know, when I first started doing lives, I decided only to do one a week because at the time I didn't really have a following for my live streams. And I was like, you know, do I really want to do multiple a week? And I said, yeah, we'll see how it goes with one a week. So 2 a week is coming in 2024, but I want it to be a day that people want to watch, because I know, for example, Tri-State does a live stream Sunday morning. I know that Neves Knives does a live stream. What is it? Saturday afternoon, Saturday evening. So I just want to know, what do you guys want? Let me work it into the schedule, and we will get more live streams in 2024. Yeah. Craig Vincent says, on a different note, when your wedding reception is at a Chucky's and the skee ball is included in the package, you get a lot of beach towels for gifts. Oh, man. Ian says, working at an HVAC supplier is not as easy of a job as my data entry job was. Kind of burns me out, but comfort kills. That is true. You know, the comfort zone is a beautiful place, but nothing grows there. And often you have to push yourself outside of your comfort zone to make great strides and to grow as an individual. I know all about that. Just watch my earlier videos from a year ago, or a year and a half ago, and you'll see that I've tried and pushed myself out of my comfort zone many times with new filming styles, with new equipment, with editing my videos, new edits. And because of that constant pushing and staying outside of my comfort zone, the channel has grown a lot. My most watched video in 2023 was my Steel Snobs video on D2. I am not a metallurgist. I just talk about the findings of metallurgists, and that one by far had the most watch time out of any video that I came out with this year. So that one was my first Steel Snobs episode, and I did not know how to run a Steel Snobs episode. In fact, I've only done 3 or 4 of those videos. I don't necessarily think that I have the format down, but we're working on it. Chef Rocky says, hey guys, I'm eating, love to you and yours. Rocky, if you got to go, Irish goodbye, my friend. We'll check you on the flip side. Tori says, Roll, I'm as old as 55 and have a 9-year-old up at 4 for work, and they keep me young. Wife is 13 years younger. All right, man. Never stop. Never stop, man. When you stop, that's when things start going wrong. You know, you always hear about people having problems later in life after they retire. You know, it's because they stop and their brain tells their body it's okay now. You don't have to do the things, and then your body's like, sweet, Irish goodbye. Never stop. Craig says, Sunday, Dion Page in the house. Dion, channel member, longtime supporter. Welcome in, brother. Welcome in. So Craig says Sunday. Dion says Sunday. Paper Tiger says Sunday. Dion says, I keep forgetting about these. That was a killer vid. The Steel Snobs videos, dude, I love them. I'm trying to figure out the best format for those. I think that they're the easiest ones to talk about because I naturally go off on tangents after I research a topic, but they're the hardest ones to edit for because I don't necessarily know like what I'm supposed to be putting in, you know, so they're a work in progress, but thank you. And I appreciate everyone for watching those. Mark Cook says LMAX versus M390. That's actually very interesting because they're super close. The trade-off is that LMAX is a bit tougher and M390 has a bit more edge retention, but also a little less toughness. So it's a trade-off. LMAX is going to give you a bit more toughness and also be slightly easier to sharpen, while M390 is going to have better corrosion resistance and better edge retention, but less toughness. They're both fantastic steels, highly considered to be super steels. But you know what? I actually prefer LMAX, and I'll tell you why. Because LMAX is not a steel that is known to be heat treated wrong all that often. In fact, you only really see LMAX being used by competent manufacturers, which means that you're always getting a decent heat treat, versus M390, which is criminally underhardened. M390 is criminally soft. Down with 59 HRC M390. Vote with your dollars. Don't buy anything with 59 HRC M390. Let's tell the community that we've had enough. You don't have to worry about that with LMAX. LMAX is only ever made these days by companies that do a good job with the heat treat. For the most part. Ian Coates says, what's better, 15V MagnaCut or Maximit? Well, I'm going to give you my opinion, and I'm going to go ahead and pull up my Steel Snobs knife rating list. So hang on one second. Personally, my personal opinion, if I had to choose between 15V MagnaCut or Maximit, I'd go with MagnaCut. And I'll tell you why, because while Maximit and 15V have far greater edge retention than MagnaCut, both of those other steels have really, really low toughness. And I'll pull up my my rating sheet and I'll show you what I mean. We'll get that going. Where is it? There it is. Okay. All right. So here we go. So let's do 15V. I'm just trying to make sure that I have absolutely everything. Okay. So we're going to do 15V. We're going to come down here because I know that MagnaCut is down here, and maxim it. All right, so here we go. For these ratings, higher is better. So for blade steel, 15V has a 3.5 rating for toughness. It's going to be about the same as, I believe, M390, if I'm not mistaken. Maximit has an even worse toughness rating at 2, but they both make up for it with extremely high edge retention. The extremely high edge retention for 15V is a 10, Maximit is 11. And then they both have like D2 level of corrosion resistance. So 15V and Maximit are good options if you don't need good toughness and if you don't need good corrosion resistance. So like, you know, if you live in Arizona. Meanwhile, while MagnaCut on this rating sheet does not have the highest edge retention, it does have really good toughness. It's got decent edge retention, and it's got really good corrosion resistance. Now, this part right here, I have to mention, the MagnaCut is only rated at a 5 because when Dr. Laren Thomas went and did these tests, he did them based on MagnaCut at 60 to 62 HRC. And now we've had a huge push from the community to get MagnaCut at 63 to 64 HRC, and we're seeing that from a lot of manufacturers, for example, like Hogue. And so with MagnaCut at more of a 63 to 64, you'd probably see this rated much higher. So for those reasons, would you lose out on toughness and corrosion resistance if you raised the hardness on MagnaCut? Sure, but not by that much. The cool thing about MagnaCut is that depending upon how hard it gets in the heat treating process, you can actually get different variances, but no matter what you do, you always have a really good balance. So MagnaCut is going to be the most well-balanced steel out of those three, bar none. Lost my voice there for a second. Ian says, what's the steel that competes with MagnaCut? I'm so glad that you asked, Ian. So check it out. If I had to choose a steel to compete with MagnaCut, it wouldn't be a competition to me. I do not think that MagnaCut is the best. That's my opinion. I would go with S90V. And here's why. Unlike with 15V, unlike with Maximit, S90V, while it also doesn't have the highest level of toughness, it's still not as brittle as Maximit. But unlike 15V and Maximit, it has really good corrosion resistance, 7.5. And then it comes in with the super good edge retention. So yeah, is MagnaCut still going to be tougher? Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. But S90V is going to have great corrosion resistance and superior levels of edge retention. It comes down to, where do you want the trade-off? With MagnaCut, you're hoping and praying that they heat treated it to 63 to 64 HRC, but there's no guarantee. We've seen plenty of 60 to 62 MagnaCut. And when you have MagnaCut at 60 to 62, it's going to kind of perform like D2 steel when it comes to edge retention. And that's not a knock. D2 has perfectly fine edge retention, but it's not going to be God tier level edge retention like you get with S90V. So unlike 15V and Maximate, where you have to sacrifice in 2 of those categories, S90V, you really only sacrifice in 1, and it's in one that a lot of people that have folding knives are willing to sacrifice in. If it was a fixed blade, maybe not, but I've also heard good things about S90V and fixed blades. So yeah, the steel, here's the thing. Dr. Laren Thomas's favorite steel, and he's mentioned this, is S90V. All right. So let me see what's going on here. We got Frank joining in. Welcome in, Frank. He says, I find MagnaCut to be easy to sharpen too. Yeah, it's because it has lower edge retention. So the higher the edge retention, the harder it is to sharpen, the more brittle it is. But the lower the edge retention, the easier it is to sharpen, and the higher the toughness. So there's definitely trade-offs. Bluminati says, gotta run, gang. Mom's actually resting. I'm gonna go try to get some rest myself. Good night, knife fam. Hey, Bluminati, thanks for joining in, man. Thank you for supporting the channel, for giving away all those memberships. We appreciate you, brother. Have a good rest of your night. Frank says, my 63 to 64 HRC Tanto Umnumzon has a microchipping on the front 0 grind section. If I can link pictures, I will show you. Dang, which steel is that? Is that the new Chris Reeves knives that's doing MagnaCut? Or is that in a different blade steel? Is that in S45? I don't know. Ian Coates says, steel nomenclature confuses me. I'm sorry, man. So if I were to try to break it down, toughness, steel toughness is how much pressure, how much force can it take without chipping, without fracturing the grain structure of the knife. We typically see it as like piece of the blade breaking off or chipping on the edge. Edge retention is wear resistance. So edge retention is wear resistance. And it's going to be tied most of the time to the HRC or the hardness. But it is also dependent upon how it was heat treated. Like, was it cryo treated? Was it, was it plate quenched? So on and so forth. So edge retention is the wear resistance. Like, if you were to like take a file and try to take off metal, how much would it resist that? Because that wear resistance is going to determine the edge retention. Corrosion resistance is, is it going to rust? And those are the 3 things. The trade-off is that if you want a knife that's easy to sharpen, you don't want a knife that has high edge retention. If you want a knife that is very tough, chances are most of the time you'll be sacrificing some edge retention. Now I'll say this, MagnaCut has the highest edge retention rating while maintaining its toughness rating out of any of the knife steels that I've looked into. And it also has extremely good corrosion resistance. It's a stainless steel. So MagnaCut is going to give you the best blend of herbs and spices overall. That said, if you don't necessarily care about having a super tough knife, S90V, that's my pick. S90V. Craig says, I had one knife in MagnaCut, a Deca, but I sold it to buy a bigger knife with slightly less awesome steel. It really boils down to, what is your use case scenario? I would say for a lot of people, you're not going to notice a huge difference until you go to sharpen the knife, or if you have to sharpen the knife a lot. Is it a heavy user? Is it a pocket princess? Do you just break it out to open up the nice Amazon packages? So your use case really determines a lot. For example, this one is in cryo-treated 14C that's cryo-treated at 62 HRC. And so this is actually going to perform very similarly edge retention wise to S35VN according to my research. But if you're just cutting open boxes, so on and so forth, you might not notice a difference. The real heavy users absolutely will. Frank says, I live in Florida and would rather have corrosion resistance and toughness. Don't need a crazy edge retention. To be honest, MagnaCut is perfect, methinks. A lot of people agree with you. Without a shadow of a doubt, a lot of people agree with you. Bangkok says, that's a Titius. It is a Titius. What did I say this was? Am I still... I must be tired. The Kubi Titius has 14C cryo-treated at 62 HRC, and it's really good. So good. Hey, welcome into Big Jimp, and he says, I like coated M4. Yeah, M4 is a great steel if you're okay sacrificing corrosion resistance, which I'm assuming is why you'd like it coated. It's got really good edge retention. Really good edge retention. Mark Cook says, wow, I'm feeling very emasculated after hearing Pocket Princess. Listen, I carry knives, and my, like I said earlier, my wife gave me the business today, and she said, why do you need another knife? Just so it can look cool in your pocket? We're in the same boat. Ghost Keeper, welcome in. He says 14C or 154 are for sure my favorite steel and so easy to sharpen. D2 seems a little more tough, but got to worry about it rusting. D2 is actually not tougher than 14C. In fact, there's not very many steels that are. Let me show you what I mean. So remember, on the ratings, higher is better. 14C is rated at a 9 for toughness. Stupidly good. It's also got really good corrosion resistance. And people don't necessarily hear me out when I say that 14C in a testing environment performs almost identical to LC200N. But check this out. I'm going to find it. There it is. People love LC200N. Check this out. So LC200N is going to have better corrosion resistance, but they're still both very highly rated for it. 14C is going to have better toughness than LC200N, and they're both going to have about the same edge retention. So if you want the Kirkland brand LC200N, get a knife in 14C. And if you're okay sacrificing just a little bit of that toughness, get it cryo treated at 62 HRC or higher, and you'll get S35VN levels of edge retention, which is pretty damn good. No doubt. So yeah, I love 14C. I also love LC200N. They're great user steels. They're possibly some of the best user steels, dollar for dollar. But they're highly underrated because people see them on less expensive knives and they're like, Do your research. Do your research. 14C is excellent for a user knife. And it's great because it's not hard to sharpen and you can get a wickedly sticky edge on 14C. Love it. Mr. Prosthetic says, what do you know about Kubi M390? You got the titanium monster dog when you got the Boobius, and it was pretty easy to sharpen. You know, so I'm not entirely sure. I haven't done a whole lot of looking into it, but let's go to Kubi's website real quick. Let's find out. So Kubi actually released one that I'm actually very interested in. It is the Mikkel Williamson Bravo 1. Crazy chonky looking knife. Does it tell us what the HRC range is? 60 to 61. Okay, so it's not 59 to 61. It's a little more dialed in. That's good as far as the hardness is concerned. I haven't heard a whole lot of complaints. I know that they typically don't do higher than 61 HRC on their M390 because it burns out their machinery at a much faster rate. In fact, the recommended hardness level for M390 is in fact 59 to 60 to 61. So, I mean, I'm going to say Kubi's M390 is going to be about as good as most Chinese brands. Let's see. J. Scott says, got my first S45 VN blade coming tomorrow. A large SHF that I traded a 3.5 Hinderer XM18 for. Looking forward to that. Can't believe I have had it before and believe it's still a quality steel. Man, congrats, by the way. One of these days I'm going to get an XM18. I feel like I at least need to handle one at some point. That's one of those knives that you just have to handle, and I never have. But the knife that keeps every time I look at an XM18, the very next thing I do is look for a half track, specifically the half track warning. Nico Diaz says VG10 equals very gay according to Cedric Caneda. That's true. Bangkok Mark says Kubi does a great job with their steel and quality. You know, I just don't have a whole lot of experience with M390 from Kubi, so it's really hard for me to say, but I will take your word for it. Todd says at 60 to 61, I wish that they would just stick with S90V. It does great at that HRC. Yes, and it's been around long enough. S90V has been around so long, guys, that manufacturers truly know how to heat treat it correctly. Without a shadow of a doubt. Mark Cook says, Utgard Tactical has D2. I live in the Midwest with a lot of rain and snow. Should I be concerned? Just got one. Action is stiff and hard to flick, but hopefully will loosen up. I would suggest check the pivot, make sure it's not over tightened. And then also check the wear from the detent ball on the blade, because sometimes that detent ball has to wear a track into the blade and then it gets super smooth. I haven't handled an Utgard Tactical yet, but I can tell you that, where is it? Here we go. This guy. The action on this is great. The action on this guy is also great. Granted, when you've got a super heavy blade, it's going to be good. But check the wear and tear from the detent ball onto the blade. It might just need to wear a path in there. And you might have the pivot a little too tight. Depends. But anyways, Mark, you asked if you should be concerned. So, is it D2? Yeah. Midgards Messer uses D2, but they use CPM D2, and CPM D2 is not the same as regular D2 because it's been powderized and then reforged by Crucible Industries. And so you get a lot of great consistency in this steel, and you get much better edge retention, and you get much better toughness. As far as the corrosion resistance, I'm not entirely positive whether or not turning it into a powder metallurgy steel helps with that or not. But supposedly every single one of those knife steel properties is supposed to be better the moment it gets powderized and then reforged. So I don't have a problem with D2 knives rusting. I live in Colorado. It's fairly dry, but we also get lots of snow. And this last year we saw a ton of rain. I took my D2 knives out a lot. My D2 knives get used. They go through food. They go through fruit that has acid in it. And I'll say this. Do you have to be concerned? No. When you're done using your knife for the day, before you put it away, whether you're putting it away in the drawer, on your countertop, if you're putting it back in the display case, take a rag that has a little bit of oil. You can use like, shoot, I know some people that use olive oil. Not that I would suggest olive oil, but you could use like rem oil. I know some people will use WD-40. Some people will use KPL or what's it called? Baristol, and just wipe down the blade one time. Wipe it down with a oil impregnated cloth before you put it away. You will not have an issue with it rusting. I guarantee it. Maybe don't heavily oil it if it's used heavily for food processing, though. Just keep your knife clean. All right. Bangkok Mark says, put in some skiffs. Yeah, you know, I don't know what size skiffs you would need for that, but I think you probably could find them. Oreo Dave says, mineral oil works great and is super cheap. You're not wrong. He ain't lying. You know what I use? I use this. This is rem oil. It works great on my OTF knives. And I bought one bottle of this from Walmart for like $8 over a year ago. And it's a spray bottle. So you do have to worry about a little bit of overspray, but just spray it on the cloth, not directly on the knife. And it's still about halfway full. It's over a year old. I use it all the time to maintenance my knives. If you just bought a knife from me, chances are it was cleaned with a brush and with this and lubricated with this. And it works great for protecting against rust. It also works on firearms. That's why it's made by Remington, obviously rem oil. Yeah, this is my go-to kind of wipe down knives, lubricate stuff, clean stuff. Love some spray rem oil. This is my jam. And it stays right by my desk because I use it all the time. Kevin C in the house, channel member. He says, I carried my Grail Victor on the first day it rusted. Dang. Are we talking like the petrified fish Victor? Where's mine? So this is mine. You can tell by the handle scales on here that this one has been carried a ton. This is probably my most carried budget knife of 2023. I've been doing a great job of patinaing these micarta handle scales. It's not actually D2, it's K110, which is nearly identical, but has a bit more vanadium content than D2. No rust issues. I've carried this knife on rainy days too. My thing is that I wipe down my knives every day after I take it out of my pocket. If it's getting carried, it's getting wiped down with a oil in a rag. That's just how I roll. So I don't have any issues with rusting. Then again, I also don't live in these super humid states like the Carolinas or like Florida or like Georgia. So is it fair for me to say that living in Colorado? Probably not. But also it's not that I only carry these knives in dry environments either. Bangkok Mark says gun oil works awesome. I agree. Love some good rem oil. Mr. Prosthetic makes a great point. He says mineral oil is also okay for food prep. Yep. That would be another good reason to use mineral oil instead of something like rem oil, is if you're going to be using your knife for food prep, maybe you don't want gun oil on, your apple. Maybe you don't want it on your sandwich. Or maybe you do. Maybe you just want to let freedom ring. Let freedom ring.
This is Sparta!
All right, guys. So my live streams are typically not too terribly long. A lot of it has to do with the frequency and the volume in which I talk. I start to lose my voice, but also because I recognize that these live streams go late for all of my friends over on the East Coast. I know, for example, if you live in Eastern Standard Time, right now it's 11 p.m. It is almost the next day. Get some sleep. Guys, thank you. Absolutely thank you for hanging out with the channel, for joining in on a Wednesday, for putting up with my inability to tell the difference between AM and PM specifically. And thank you. It's been a wonderful live stream. I'm looking forward to the next one. I'm looking forward to seeing what the results of that secondary live stream poll turn out to be. Expect to see a second live stream happening in 2024. That is coming. I'm going to give it till the end of the month, and then I'm going to pick one of those weekend days, either Saturday or Sunday, and we'll be doing another live stream weekly. We'll be doing 2 weekly live streams. I'm excited about it. Other than that, that's all I've got. Hope you have an absolutely fantastic rest of your week, and I will catch you on the flip side.